I spoke to her in July. I think she gave me a call in July.
Well, you rang to say what's happening.
Yeah, how are you doing? I haven't seen you for ages. And she'd had a few girlfriends round, and she'd been practicing some bit of her singing, and she'd been out for lots of walks, and she had a full enjoyment back of life, hadn't she?
Yeah, she seemed
no
to...
worries,
well,
sleeping pattern restored.
Getting rid of all the tablets seemed to make her well, but in actual fact, it was probably about 3 or 4 weeks before she was really giving me trouble. And before she really got all her personality back and started to have that extra bit of spark. So yeah, and then we're 2 months on, so we're... well, I was going to say back to normal. We're almost back to normal, but she's into retail therapy, and the diary is completely full. So it's almost like she's catching up from all those things.
Yeah, she's just told me that she's been really making up for lack of time, those 2 years when she didn't spend any money. If you were to summarise, Malcolm, or just put over some of the things that you've learned that you'd like to express to other people that might find themselves in a similar position, either as therapists or people helping people with depression, or people suffering from depression and on high levels of medication themselves, what would be your advice from all that you've learned? What would you like to say to them?
Advice, I think, is a bit strong, because I think every situation is different. People's situation, whatever the causes were originally, their life situation, the medication they're on, all these things are different. What I think is important is to try to understand their own situation in their life and what it is that may be holding them back, and then to think about all the different elements that could go together to make them well. And for me, I think it was definitely the holistic approach which gave the dividends in the end.
So by that holistic approach,
I mean, if we first of all, let's start with the medication. The website, the venlafaxine website says that it's a good medication because it works for 45% of people, and other antidepressants only work for 35% of people. So straight away it says that, okay, there are a lot of people there that it's not helping, and it's important to look and try to understand, is this helping? If you're one of those 35% of people that it's helping, then it may be that people do have to have that to carry on. I don't know. But clearly there are lots of other things that people can put in place to try to see if they can make do without those drugs. And for the 2/3 of people for whom the medication isn't helping, then I would encourage them to look as broadly as possible to see what else they can do to help them. The simple things for me were the relaxation.
It was key, wasn't it?
I think it is, and in fact I've described it to friends, other people who suffer this ability, where people are at a higher level of anxiety, the ability with hypnotherapy to come right down, and then okay, they start coming up again, but it's the only thing that disconnects the person from the worries and the anxiety they have is the hypnotherapy. If they can achieve relaxation through breathing, fine, but that tends to be a much smaller effect, so the hypnotherapy seems to achieve a higher level of relaxation. I think that really is key. And the exercise that goes with that, and trying to maintain some normality, whether it's doing jobs, all of those things I think are fundamental. I think for me the complementary medicine has been quite important. So,
as in the nutrition?
Well, the nutrition, and I mean, one thing I didn't say before, for example, is that you can buy serotonin precursor in Holland and Barrett. So 5-HTP, as it's called, is the serotonin precursor. And there are articles which say it works for 50% of people. It alleviates depression more than drugs do. But again, doctors don't prescribe it because you can buy it in Holland and Barrett. If you can buy it over the counter, it's obviously not a medicine, therefore they don't need to deal in it. But for a couple of friends who've got friends who've been suffering, I've said, have you tried 5-HTP? And they've actually tried it and found they're getting benefit from taking this over-the-counter herbal supplement. So have a look at what there is. Certainly a herbal supplement like the serotonin precursor that can be bought, and then flax seed oil, which is the basic food for the brain, and then the levels of vitamins, B6, B12, magnesium, these things which are the basic ingredients and basic raw materials of brain function. Taking those has been a great help to Carolyn. So thinking about herbal and supplements, I think, is quite important.
So it's looking really just further than an allopathic route and looking for all the other things that you could possibly do to bring that person back to a health.
And then, of course, the last item is the contribution, really for me, of you and helping it, not just in straight relaxation, but in helping through focused hypnotherapy and the acupuncture you did. It seemed to really, really help her. So all these things together, I think, are what's made her well again.
Brought your lady back.